This is the Beyond Barriers Unscripted Podcast, episode 28.
And just be patient and give yourself time and be kind to yourself, because this is not an easy journey. That's for sure.
Hello and welcome to the show. I am Randy Owen, and in this episode, Brandie and I are joined by Nasreen Bhutta. This episode was recorded late 2021 and concludes our three-part interview with the hosts from Bold Blind Beauty on air. Nasreen shares about her blindness journey as well as parenting and talks about how she came to meet the folks over at Bold Blind Beauty and became a part of the organization. Before we get to the conversation, I'd like to ask that if you enjoy the show, to please share it with a friend, hit the subscribe button. Leaving positive feedback on Apple Podcasts is greatly appreciated. If you have any ideas or questions for the show, please reach out to me or Brandie at bb.unscripted@gmail.com. And now our conversation with Nasreen.
I am so happy to have you here, Nasreen. We just got done talking with Sylvia and Stephanie. What I especially liked about watching and listening to conversations that the three of you do together is your camaraderie, and all three of you come from a different background and a different blindness journey. So can you share with us a little bit about yourself and about who you are and where you came from?
Yeah, hi. Thank you, Randy and Brandie, for having me on your podcast this evening. I'm really appreciative of that. And yeah, it's a delight working with Steph and Sylvia on Bold Blind Beauty and on our podcast, Bold Blind Beauty on Air, which is something we started this year. And we're really excited about that. And we have lots of fun doing it, to be honest with you. My sight loss journey started a few years ago. I was diagnosed with RP. Actually, I was on mat leave, to be honest with you. And I noticed some changes in my vision. And at the time, they said, oh, it's just part of, being pregnant and all that sort of stuff. And so I didn't think anything of it. And then it was a little while later after that fact, I became a parent and parent to a wonderful young lady now. And so I noticed that there was some change in my vision. And then I went, through the whole testing that we have to go through, and went to, optometrists and specialists. And then they diagnosed me as having something called retinal pigmentosis, which I believe a lot of people out there do have. And to me, that was really alarming and sort of, surprising, alarming, and really devastating all at the same time, because I never expected that. And I've been, an independent person all my life, and this was all new to me. And it just was putting some sort of barriers, like it just sounded like something that was really horrible. And my experience at the optometrist with it was as well horrible, because they kind of gave me a death sentence prognosis, and that was like total blindness by a certain point in my life, and they kind of even gave me like a year number that this is, by the time you reach this certain age, you should be totally blind. Well, knock on wood, I'm not. I've surpassed that age, and I still have, I have, my central vision has been affected, and I still have my peripheral vision. And like one of the things that I like to kind of shed a light on when it comes to blindness is a spectrum. So no two people with the same diagnosis will be able to see accurately the same way. There's just no way. You put two people with RP in a room and you ask with central vision loss, and you ask them, okay, what do you see? And you're going to get two different answers and two different visual acuities. It's just how it is. And that's something that people need to realize and understand that are in the sight loss journey, and also the sighted journey folks as well too. And so knock on wood, like I said, I'm lucky. I still have my central vision. It's going, it's not quite gone. I have my peripheral vision, and we have good days and we have bad days, as anybody does with that's dealing with, an eye condition. And so my journey led me to kind of, now I'm a parent. Now I've been diagnosed with this illness, this diagnosis, eye condition. And that was really difficult. And then, so I went through another third whammy, which was divorce. And sort of all these sort of whammies happened together, sort of simultaneously, and sort of not too far apart years. And then that kind of led me to, oh no, what do I do with myself now? I'm a single parent. I have I have a blue collar and white collar and retail experience. My background is actually in information technology. And so I was at a point in my life, at this point in my life, I had to figure out how to reskill myself or what to do with life, and how am I going to, be a provider and for my child. I'm a parent now, and somebody else is counting on me. So it was a slow uphill climb to kind of figure all of this stuff out along the way. And I was introduced to screen readers and sort of this technology world of assistive devices shortly thereafter. And getting a copy of a screen reader, like getting a screen reader was like very difficult and a very turning point for me. And learning how to use it was even more difficult. And I've always used computers by looking at the screen, glancing at the screen, and just doing my thing. But now I've got this auditory thing in my ear and voices in my head. And it's just, it was just really a challenge in the beginning. And I had a trainer at the time, and she was really impressed each week that she would work with me to get me to some level. And she was like, you're just sponging all of this up. And I said, wow, this is all so new to me. I've never seen an email before. I've never seen any of these things. So reskilling myself was something that took some time and effort, but it was the only way to kind of gain my empowerment, independence back again. And so that sort of my journey kind of led from that into self-teaching myself how to, use screen readers and other technologies that had voiceover adaptability in them, to kind of reskill myself and learn that, so that I could figure out what was the next step along the way. And meanwhile, as this was happening, my daughter was growing up, so I had to, obviously teach her how to read and go through all those sort of things that kids do, first this and first that, and in school, and kind of understand how that was going to work with this new lifestyle of mine. And as a parent, I had to train my child to work with a parent with, who's losing their vision. She didn't know how to. That was something new to her, and certainly new to me, but we managed. We worked as a team, and we managed. And today, she's very appreciative of somebody with visual impairment. We often laugh about, in the blindness spectrum, or being blind, or just, we just laugh about it. And it's kind of like, I say to her now, can you come here? I need to wear your eyes. And she's like, oh, well, you can't figure it out yourself. And I'm like, no, this one I do need your help with. And so she knows I only call her when I absolutely need her for something. Generally, I'm independent, but it was technology that was sort of my claim to fame for gaining that independence from somebody who was, always independently going to work, helping others, doing all kinds of stuff. So this was like a whole new lifestyle change. And so, like I said, it took about 2.5 years to reskill myself. And once I was done taking online courses, everything that I could, whether it was free or paid, I tried to sponge it all up so that I could understand how people in this space work and think. And along the way, I was fortunate enough to meet a lot of people. And I observed at first what this community was about and how people operated or functioned in the community and some of their concerns and challenges. and even some of the good points that people were talking about, their successes. And I tried to understand how I could incorporate some of those pieces into, what I wanted to do, or how I could make those things happen for me, or what would those goals be for me. And that led me into my first sort of experience was with a company out in Boston, Massachusetts, called Project Starfish America, where I kind of got my footage about sort of being in an integratable place where you would learn and work with others remotely in sort of a simulated business space. And I learned a lot of skills from there. I met a lot of people from there, and I excelled a lot. And again, I was a sponge, so I sucked everything up. I learned as much as I could and excelled to the top of that, which led into other opportunities, into recruiting and sourcing, which I am also part of. And also led me down to working on social impact projects like Bold Line Beauty, which I am part of as well, and a few other smaller projects and some volunteer work that I do with the Montgomery, Ohio Re-County Reentry program each month. I speak to a group of cohorts, graduates from the program, talk about my story, and I share my challenges so that to them and hear some of their challenges. And so it's been a great sort of journey along this path, and also the journey is not only like helped me to kind of regain my footage back into sort of like a career and employment and sort of that professional identity and branding that's utterly important, I think, to everybody at some point or another. It is very important to me. But also I kind of rekindled interest that I had lost before. I really enjoyed avid lover of glass art. I love to travel. I've been across the world a couple of times to the other side, Dubai and India and other places, Amsterdam and places like that, by myself. And that was a huge feat to do that. And I love to read, love thrilling roller coasters. So my journey has kind of brought me back to finding myself through vision loss, acceptance, and I still think there's lots more to go. And I feel like I'm a difference maker as a result. So, and I enjoy that.
Can you talk about acceptance? What exactly do you mean by acceptance? Yeah,
acceptance, for me, it's accepting change that you never were expecting before. And simply put, in my case, it would be like I never expected to have RP. I never expected to change into this sort of like different lifestyle and be using screen readers or voiceover or all these other technologies on a day-to-day basis. And so for me, that acceptance took a while. Being visually impaired is not easy on a day-to-day basis. And acceptance is something that we have to kind of work at and tell ourselves each day that, this is going to get better. We have to, it was like I had to accept this was the change that was happening to me. And because of this small change, it did alter a lot of other things in my life. And it also made other challenges in my life happen as well, too, as a result. Giving up your independence or I guess losing some of it is also hard. And that was a realization. I was a person that would take the bus to go anywhere. I would walk anywhere. I enjoyed all that stuff. And now it became like what seemed to be like a blink of an eye, independent things that I used to do were now tough to do. Is I had to remap my way of how to get around, how to do something. So everything was like a remap thinking where before you was an instant impulse. Okay, we're going to do this, up and go. Nothing about it. Now it's like, okay, we're going to do this. We're going to, we take a walk or we're going to go somewhere. Okay, we have to plan it all out. We have to think about it. We have to plan it all out. And so that's all part of acceptance, is knowing that you can't, acceptance is when you have to rethink how you're going to do something and rethink that this is your lifestyle. You have to really accept it. And that takes time. It takes courage. It takes understanding. It takes, support systems. And in the beginning, I didn't have any of those things. So that made it harder to accept. But as soon as I started opening the doors and finding my own way, as soon as I was able to get technology to help me, I was able to open the world up remotely very easily and meet all kinds of like-minded people to find the support system that I needed to help me. And then through them, I was able to learn. And I realized that they accepted themselves, even though it was tough. So that kind of helped me have that acceptance about the change, the visual impairment, and the lifestyle, the new lifestyle change.
I think it allows us to move forward, instead of being stuck.
Exactly.
Can you talk about parenting a little bit?
Yeah. Parenting's been fun. It's been a challenge. It's been a bit of a struggle too. I still remember the first time my daughter brought home her first Franklin book from the library at school. She was in kindergarten. Sometimes they have JK up here, and then they strip it away. They only have SK, so senior kindergarten. So this particular year they had SK. So we only had to go through it once, thank God. And so I had just come back from a family trip across the world, and when she started kindergarten, and she brought her first book home, and I thought, oh no, here we go. It's time to teach her how to read. This is going to be a joy. How are we going to do this? But when you're given a challenge, I guess I would say invention or necessity is the mother of invention. So I ended up deciding to. So the way we started to read. Okay, let me pause here. So the first thing we did was I decided that let's look at this book, and since she was very good with her alpha letters, I said, okay, so you start spelling and then I'll start reading. So it was a combined effort to teach her how to read. And so she started off with Mr. MR period, and then Franklin and all that. And so the good thing about the Franklin books for children are that they're repetitive words within the storyline. So by the time she got to the end of the book, she was very comfortable reading much of the repetitive words there herself. So I thought, oh my goodness, this is okay. We tackled this. Okay, we got this one. Okay, we got to understand how to tackle reading. So that was really great. And at the end of the kindergarten year, she actually won an award for being top in her class. So I thought, oh, this is fantastic. First award in senior kindergarten. So that was kind of awesome. And then thereafter, parenting was just one of the hardest things. There were some challenges in parenting as well. So when it came down to playing games with her, that was kind of hard. And so we could play tic-tac-toe. That was kind of fun. We had this, I think it's called the connection game that sits upright, and you slide the colored circles in the block of red. Yeah, that's it.
Connect Four. I can't tell the difference between red and black.
Yeah. Well, see, that's where the challenge was. So I would be given my color, whether it was red or black, and so then she would be able to tell me, okay, what we're doing, if I won or not. My favorite was tic-tac-toe because the X and the yellow X and the O's were already cut out symbols, so it was easy to place them on the board and play. The hardest one was playing cards, and we love to play cards. So it was hard to play cards because she'd always see my hand, and yeah, so that was no fun. That wasn't challenging, but you know what? She wanted to play cards, and so I just went ahead and did it for the fun of it, just to please her and make her happy and participate and be supportive, even though I knew we weren't getting anywhere with this card game.
As you were talking about the reading, that just I was just smiling from ear to ear. That's a great story.
It's a great story. Did you ever make up the story as you went along, and then eventually your kids get really wise to it? Like my son would be like, "It totally doesn't say that, Mom," and I'm like, "Oh, really? This whole time I've been reading it wrong? Oh, you're so smart."
No, but I couldn't do that because she was smarter than, like, she was able to read all the letters. So it was like, no, you're reading it wrong, right? Yeah. She would have said that. So it's a bedtime stories that I used to make up. And so that I had autonomy on those.
Yeah. Yeah, Garrett totally would call me on it. He's just, okay, fine. Give Mommy E for effort. I was creative.
Can you talk about Bold Blind Beauty and how and why you became part of
Oh my gosh,
BBB?
Yeah. So Bold Blind Beauty also has a story behind this. So a couple of years ago, I was part of a Facebook group, and we were doing our introductions in this Facebook group, and this is the first, and we were just going around round robin saying hi, who are we, where we're from, et cetera, et cetera. And then when I heard the founder of Bold Blind Beauty speak for the first time, Stephanie McCoy, I just, I heard her speak, and she was very confident sounding, very bold and brassy, and just, you know, she seemed to have it all together. And there was just something about her that just clicked and resonated with me. And I thought, oh, this woman, out of all these people, I mean, they were other nice people. I'm not, you know, they were good people too, but this woman has something else about her. I like this woman. I want to get to know her. And when she was talking about some of, describing Bold Blind Beauty at the time and some of the other things that she was doing at the time, it did interest me. So afterwards, you know, we did connect, and we tried to, you know, we talked and we became friends. At the time, there wasn't anything of interest or parallel crossovers that we had that we could work on together. And, you know, we were just so far in distance from each other's spaces, but we still kept in touch. It was a little while later, a few years later, that I ended up going halfway across the world, and she was at some alpaca farm somewhere. I forgot exactly where, but she was, and I noticed that sort of watching my Facebook feeds because I was sitting on the other side of the world, and I was there for about 4 months on a trip, and towards the end of my trip, I was watching the news feed. I was watching the Facebook news feed, and I knew that she was doing this and doing that, and things at Bold Blind Beauty were like, you know, I was, you know, watching some of those posts and things like that, and I thought, well, you know, I'm going to give her a call. I'm going back to Toronto soon, in about 2 weeks' time. Let me give her a shout. Maybe I'll be lucky and catch her now. So in the beginning of my trip, I did try calling her, but like I said, we didn't connect. By the end of my trip, or towards the end of my trip, sorry, I was able to catch her, and we had a nice conversation, a really in-depth conversation. And everything just seemed right at the time. It just seemed right. There was a need that she had, and I just felt, you know, the energy was right. Everything was just really right. Everything was aligning up in our conversation. Unfortunately, her friend and chief communications officer at the time had passed away a few months prior to my call, and you know, Steph was kind of obviously taking it not so good, and so the time when I called, that was just the right timing. Everything was right, and we had a great conversation. And I told her when I came back to Toronto that I would love to get involved with BBB and be part of it and you know, help her out. It seemed like she did need some help and some encouragement, and there's just things going on And when she told me about the passing of a friend, I could tell that she was, still recovering and quite upset from that. And it just, she seemed like she's a wonderful person. And I just thought, no, this is all right. This is the time. And had that conversation, and I told her, nothing doing. When I come back to Toronto, I'm going to call you and let's sit down and let's really talk about this and what I can bring to the table and how I can add value to what you're doing. And I love social impact projects. I want to see if I can make a difference with Bold Line Beauty. And so that's exactly what happened when I came back at the end of September, called her first week of October back in 2019. And the rest is kind of history. We just kind of really got in there, rolled up our sleeves. And I told her, I love what you're doing, and there's so much more you can do. And don't pack it up, don't close down shop. I think what you're doing is really helping the community. It's very different than some of the other platforms out there. And then we also had a chance to meet actually early last year in 2020 in a conference in New Jersey. We both were there, and Sylvia was there too, and others. And we all got to meet. We all got to hang out for a couple of days, and it was really great and fun, and really get to know each other and just our synergy, our energy. And then when we came back, we just kind of rolled up our sleeves and just kept going. And I love being part of the team. I love, I'm the acting communications officer with Bold Line Beauty. And we, work well together. We are inspired by so many people out there in the community that come to us and share their journeys on our platform. It's just wonderful to network with, great individuals out there in our community that are doing such great work. That's what I think I love the most about the platform, is that I get to see and talk to firsthand and invite them to be part of Bold Line Beauty. And that gives me confidence to know that people in this community, in this wonderful community, that they're doing such inspiring things, or they're aspiring to be something or somebody. They're not letting people sort of stereotypical notions hold them back. And every person that, I've spoken to, or that's been in the folds of the pages of Bold Line Beauty or our magazine called Beyond Sight, is a person who is real like everybody else. And their journeys, everybody's got something in their journey that is, full of challenges, excitement, triumphant. Everyone's worked hard and to get to where they are, and they've changed they've broken barriers along the way. They've connected, and they've been empowering, and that is, they're empowering others to follow what they're doing, and they're inspiring others along the way. So that to me is wonderful. And you don't see a lot of that, because in the blindness world, or if you are not part of the blind, sight loss world, then everybody else seems like we're poor, pity people, and we don't know any better. But when you come into the fold, you see all these amazing people. And, Randy and Brandie, what you guys are doing is amazing work too. And, this is inspiring, because people out there who are not part of our community think we can't do anything. We're poor, pity us.
What has your journey taught you about yourself?
Wow. It's inspired me. My journey has inspired me along the way. It's given me confidence. It's given me, it's helped me when I help others. That's what my journey is about. My journey isn't about myself. I never look at it through my lens. I look at it, if I can make a difference in somebody else's life, then that's gratifying. That's gratification to me. One of the things that I noticed when I was sort of starting my sight loss journey, and when I was reskilling myself and taking all this stuff online that I could attend and do, I met a lot of people, and I've listened at first to people, their sight loss journeys. I listened to the difference between totally blind people growing up in the system And I also listened to people who were, as I call myself, later in life and have to make the adjustments and the new lifestyle. And there was like this night and day difference between the two spectrum of people, the two groups of people. And so and one thing that was a common thread in all of that is that these people didn't have people that were, I guess, supporting them or cheerleader or somebody to encourage them along the way. And so when I heard their stories or I befriended them, I was just always encouraging them, always showing them the other side of positivity and self-esteem and showing them, you can do this. And through that sort of journey, that helped me to help myself through my journey in this space. I mean, if we all could, if we could all change, I mean, there's very few people who, if you ask them, would you like to, if you were blind, would you rather be sighted? There's very few people that say, no, I'd rather continue to stay blind. But the majority of the people would say, hey, if I could find a pair of working eyeballs, I'd put, I put them in, plunk them in any minute and go ahead and have sight again. That's what everybody aspires to do. But because that's not a tangible, achievable goal at this time and space, the best thing we can do is help each other, encourage each other, and pick each other up along our journey, because only we understand what we're all going through. And everybody's at a different spectrum in the vertical here of our journeys. And that I learned along the way earlier on. And so I decided that along my journey, that's what I wanted to do, is to help people. So everything that I do today, I realized the common thread is to be a difference maker in somebody's life. It gives me no greater satisfaction or pleasure to help others and see them succeed. That's my succession, whether it's in workforce development training and somebody who is a new JAWS user and sort of goes from a mouse to a screen reader user and is so frustrated with, the speech at first and wants to throw away their computer. I think we've all been there, right? Yeah. So either whether it's that or whether it's, helping somebody in my recruiting and sourcing field, placing them in sort of a job position or mapping them to a possibility or opportunity, and then hearing from them that, I got this gig and thank you so much. It just gives me no greater satisfaction. Like I got an email today from a veteran that I trained in my sourcing and recruiting course that I'm part of the Sourcing Foundation, and we facilitate people through recruiting and sourcing online certified diploma program. And I had trained a veteran a couple of years ago, and I just reached out because there was an opportunity. And he wrote me back such a wonderful email that, hey, it was so good to hear from you. I had left him a VM the other day, and he was just so delighted to hear from me. And he wrote me an email because he and said, we'll connect on the phone. But he told me all what's going on in his life right now, and how he transitioned into a civilian, and how he's so happy to hear from me and what he's doing. And he's like, you know what? I'm right now just working at this job where I'm telling people in IT, telling people how to turn on the power button. But I would love to go back into recruiting and sourcing. And so, just getting messages like that from people that I've worked with or trained in the past and made a difference in their life is that's what I thrive on. That's what gets me up in the morning and gives me my energy all day. And that's what I love doing. And I love helping all kinds of communities.
How would somebody find you on social media, or do you have any contact information you'd like to share?
If anyone's wanting to connect with me, they can connect with me at Nasreen at sourcingfoundation.org. That's NASREEN at sourcingfoundation.org. I'm also on Twitter at Nasreen1968, I believe, is my Twitter handle. It's been a while since I've checked that out. And I'm also part of another sort of a program that I do that Sylvia and I do actually, sort of a common thread that we had an interest in Toastmasters. And so we put together a program last year called Speak with Confidence. And it's sort of like a mini watered down Toastmasters. It's designed to help people hone in their voice, find their voice, people who have trouble speaking or afraid to speak in public. We help build up their confidence. We go through about 10, 12 weeks is the program. We've designed it around that. We have like a training guide, and we teach people how to, like I said, speak with confidence. We build it around the Toastmasters sort of theme, where we do have sort of the motivational moments. We have an art of small talk. We go through about 4 different speeches. We have interaction every session. People are expected to participate. We also have educational moments where we talk about like the power of the pause and why it's important to, why is public speaking important. We talk about how to, how to prepare for speeches and how to use cues and other aids like mind joggers to kind of help you to participate, because it's hard to do a speech when you are visually impaired. If you know how to do Braille, then that's great. You can do that and have it sort of that way and read Braille as you're sort of speaking, so you're not always constantly looking at a screen. Or, you have a headpiece in your, an earpiece in your ear to tell, and some voiceover is reading back to you and you're trying to keep up with that. And it's kind of looking like you're like a mime or something trying to do that. That's a fun little course. And that's another activity that I do. I volunteer my time for, but I love that because people come in and they leave building such wonderful skills, camaraderie, friendships. And every time we run a session, people say this is really therapeutical. So again, everything that I do aligns with making a difference for others. So, and that you can find me at on a Facebook group. It's a public group, Speak with Confidence Training. I'm over there as well too. And and one other, if I could say, social handle would be Nasreen at BoldBlindBeauty.com. So you can also reach me there too. So that's Nasreen at BoldBlindBeauty.com.
What would be your advice to somebody who was losing their vision, or to a family member of somebody losing their vision?
First of all, I would say don't give up. This is going to be hard. It's not going to be an easy ride. It's going to be bumpy at best. But there are a lot of support systems in place that can help you. Starting with myself. Just let us know what you need, and then we can help you with those resources. But you're going to have good days, and there'll be bad days. And there'll be days where you get frustrated with yourself because you aren't that independent as you used to be. And that's probably one of the hardest things that you're going to go through. But you can do anything and everything you put your mind to it that you could do before. But this time you may do it in different ways, or in baby steps. You may need to take baby steps to do it, but you can get there and you can do it. And just be patient and give yourself time and be kind to yourself, because this is not an easy journey. That's for sure.